Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I am pleased to introduce my presentation titled Statistical Optimization of In-Process Sampling during Manufacturing of Liquid and Semi-Solid Dosage Forms. In this session, we will explore how statistical methods can enhance the sampling process to improve quality and efficiency. We'll cover key concepts, methodologies, and practical applications that can benefit your manufacturing processes. I'm excited to share these insights with you, so let's get started. Welcome to today's slide on introduction. In pharmaceutical manufacturing, in-process quality control, or IPQC, plays a crucial role. It helps us ensure that critical parameters stay within acceptable limits throughout the production process. This ongoing monitoring is essential for maintaining product quality and safety. However, there's a challenge we often face: excessive sampling. When we sample too much, it can lead to material wastage, meaning more raw materials are used than necessary, which increases costs and impacts efficiency. Additionally, more testing means higher testing costs and can slow down the overall production process. That's where optimized sampling strategies come in. By carefully designing our sampling plans, we can maintain high-quality standards without over-consuming samples. This balance helps us reduce waste and costs while keeping our processes efficient and reliable. So, throughout this presentation, we'll explore how smart sampling approaches can improve quality control and optimize our manufacturing operations. Let's talk about the regulatory requirements for in-process sampling. Under the Food and Drug Administration's regulations, specifically 21 CFR 211.11, manufacturers are required to establish written procedures for in-process controls. This means having documented processes that guide how we sample and test during production. It's also crucial to use representative samples, which ensures that our tests accurately reflect the entire batch. When appropriate, applying statistical methods helps us interpret our data reliably. The goal of all this testing is to verify that our materials meet quality standards, including strength, purity, and identity. Additionally, in-process specifications should be based on historical process data and statistical evaluation. This helps us set realistic and scientifically supported criteria for quality. Overall, these requirements are about building a robust, compliant process that guarantees product quality from start to finish. Let's dive into the concept of risk-based sampling. Essentially, this approach focuses on prioritizing testing efforts on the critical process parameters, or CPP, that have a direct impact on the critical quality attributes, or CQA, of our product. By doing this, we can better identify and control the factors that truly influence quality. To support this, we use several key tools. One of the main ones is failure mode and effects analysis, or FMEA, which helps us systematically evaluate potential failure modes and their consequences. We also perform hazard analysis to identify possible risks early on. Additionally, process capability studies are crucial. They tell us how well our process is performing relative to specifications, helping us determine where to focus our testing efforts. All of these tools come together to form a strategic, risk-based approach that ensures we're testing the most impactful parameters, ultimately leading to a more robust and reliable process. This approach ties into our overall goal of maintaining high-quality standards while optimizing resources. Now, let's take a closer look at the statistical optimization of sampling. Essentially, these tools help us determine the smallest number of samples needed to accurately represent a process or a batch. This is crucial because it allows us to be efficient without sacrificing reliability. Some common approaches include process capability analysis, like CP and CPK, which help us understand how well a process meets specifications. Control charts are also vital. They enable us to monitor process stability over time and detect any variations that might need attention. Then, there's confidence interval sampling, which gives us a statistical range where we expect the true process parameter to lie, with a certain level of confidence. And of course, ANSI and ISO sampling plans provide standardized methods for sampling, ensuring consistency and regulatory compliance. The key benefits here are quite significant. First, we can reduce the amount of samples we need, saving time and resources. At the same time, we maintain confidence that our process is under control and performing as expected. And importantly, these methods give us a solid foundation for regulatory justification, showing regulators that our sampling strategies are scientifically sound and appropriate within industry standards. So overall, statistical optimization helps us make smarter, more reliable decisions about sampling, which is a vital part of maintaining quality and compliance in our processes. Now, let's walk through the typical manufacturing stages for liquid products. First, we start with raw material dispensing, where we carefully measure and prepare the ingredients needed for the process. Next comes solution preparation, which involves combining those raw materials to form the base solution. After that, we move to mixing, ensuring everything is thoroughly blended for consistency. Following mixing, pH adjustment is a critical step to make sure the product meets the desired acidity or alkalinity levels. Then, we proceed to filtration, which removes any impurities or particulates to ensure product clarity and quality. After filtration, we take samples from the holding tank to monitor the product's stability and quality before filling. Finally, the filling stage involves transferring the product into its final containers. Throughout all of these stages, it's important to note that each one requires rigorous IPQC monitoring. This is essential to maintain quality, ensure compliance, and keep the entire process under control. Connecting all these points, effective monitoring at each stage is vital for delivering high-quality liquid products consistently. Now, let's take a closer look at the typical manufacturing stages for semi-solids. First, we start with raw material dispensing, where we carefully measure and prepare all the ingredients needed for the process. Next comes the melting of the oil and water phases, which is crucial for achieving the right consistency. Once melted, we move on to emulsification, where these phases are blended together to form a stable mixture. Homogenization follows, ensuring the mixture is uniform throughout, which is vital for product quality. Then, we adjust the viscosity to the desired level, making sure the product has the right texture for its intended use. After that, cooling is necessary to set the product's structure properly. Finally, we proceed to filling, where the finished semi-solid is packaged for distribution. It's important to remember that semi-solid processes require careful monitoring throughout, especially because viscosity and phase stability are key to ensuring a consistent, high-quality product. Small variations at any stage can impact the final outcome, so precision and control are essential. This ongoing vigilance ties back to our overall goal of delivering safe, effective, and reliable products to consumers. Let's take a closer look at the typical industry sampling process versus wastage, using a practical example. Imagine we're working with a 10,000-liter batch of syrup. Now, in many industries, sampling is a necessary step to ensure quality and consistency. However, this process often involves taking multiple samples throughout production, which can lead to wastage. For instance, in a standard scenario, sampling might involve removing a small portion of the batch several times, and each of these samples could result in some loss of product. Over the course of the batch, this can add up to a significant amount of wastage. Understanding this comparison helps us see the impact of sampling techniques on overall efficiency. If we can minimize wastage while maintaining quality checks, it can lead to substantial savings and better resource management. This example underscores the importance of innovative sampling methods or technologies that can reduce wastage without compromising on quality control. So, as we progress through this presentation, keep in mind how optimizing sampling processes aligns with our broader goal of reducing waste and improving operational efficiency in the industry. Let's take a closer look at our optimized sampling strategy. Here, we're leveraging both statistical and risk-based evaluation methods to enhance our sampling process. What this means is that instead of just sampling randomly or based on fixed criteria, we're using data-driven approaches to focus on the most critical areas. By applying statistical analysis, we can identify patterns and variability that inform where sampling should be concentrated. Meanwhile, risk-based evaluation helps us prioritize sampling in areas with higher potential for issues or impact. Together, these methods allow us to make smarter, more targeted sampling decisions, which ultimately improves the accuracy and reliability of our results. This approach not only saves time and resources, but also aligns with our overall goal of risk mitigation and quality assurance. So, by integrating these evaluation techniques, we're ensuring our sampling strategy is both efficient and effective, supporting the broader objectives of our project. Let's take a closer look at the process justification behind our improvements. First, we have a validated mixing system, which ensures that our processes are reliable and consistent. This validation is crucial because it underpins the stability and repeatability of our batch production. Coupled with that, we rely on historical batch consistency data, confirming that our processes produce uniform results over time. Now, moving to the example of liquid manufacturing optimization. Here, we're working with a batch size of 10,000 liters of syrup. Traditionally, when we sampled this batch, we collected a total of 1.2 liters of samples. While this might seem small, it actually represents a significant volume of sample wastage, especially when scaled across multiple batches. With our optimized sampling approach, we're able to reduce that sample volume to just 0.6 liters. That's a 50% reduction in sample wastage, which is a substantial improvement. This reduction not only conserves materials, but also aligns with our sustainability goals and improves overall efficiency. In essence, these improvements demonstrate how validated systems and a focus on batch consistency enable us to refine our processes. The result is more sustainable, cost-effective manufacturing with less waste, key themes that run throughout this presentation. Today, we'll look at an example of how optimizing our semi-solid manufacturing process can make a real difference. Imagine we start with a total of 200 grams of sample. By implementing a 50% reduction in sample wastage, we can significantly improve our efficiency. In this case, we're working with a batch size of 1,000 kilograms of cream. Traditionally, sampling methods often lead to larger wastage and inefficiencies. But with this optimized approach, we can cut wastage in half, saving both time and resources. This example highlights how small adjustments in sampling practices can lead to substantial overall benefits. It's all about making smarter choices to enhance production efficiency while maintaining quality. Let's talk about process control strategies and how they help us reduce sampling requirements. One key approach is statistical process control, or SPC, which uses statistical methods to monitor and control the process in real time. This way, we can quickly identify any deviations and address them promptly. Another important strategy is process analytical technology, or PAT, which involves analyzing the process directly as it happens. This allows us to gather real-time data without interrupting production. Historical batch trend analysis is also valuable. It involves examining past data to identify patterns and improve future process control. This helps us understand what normal operation looks like and detect anomalies early. Automated process monitoring takes this a step further by using advanced systems that continuously oversee the process, reducing the need for manual sampling. And finally, continuous process verification, or CPV, ensures ongoing validation of the process, confirming that everything stays within the desired specifications over time. All of these approaches share a common goal. They enable real-time monitoring rather than relying on destructive sampling, which can be time-consuming and less efficient. By adopting these strategies, we can improve process understanding, enhance control, and ultimately ensure consistent product quality more effectively. On this slide, we're looking at an overall example of waste reduction, which really ties together the concepts we've discussed so far. The key idea here is to see how implementing targeted strategies can lead to significant reductions in waste across operations. When we look at the example, notice how small changes, when scaled, can make a big difference in efficiency and sustainability. It's important to remember that waste reduction isn't just about cutting costs. It's also about minimizing environmental impact and improving overall process effectiveness. This example highlights the potential for organizations to optimize resources and foster a culture of continuous improvement. Ultimately, this ties back to our main theme, that strategic waste management is essential for long-term success and responsible business practices. When considering reducing sampling frequency, it's essential to have proper documentation in place. First, you need a thorough risk assessment report that evaluates potential impacts on quality. Next, process validation data should support the change, showing that the process remains under control. Additionally, a sampling standard operating procedure, or SOP, must be referenced to ensure consistency. It's also critical to include statistical justification. This means demonstrating that fewer samples won't compromise data reliability. Change control approval is another key step. This formalizes the decision and ensures oversight. Lastly, an annual product quality review helps confirm that the overall process continues to meet quality standards over time. All of these documentation elements are vital because they ensure compliance with regulatory inspection expectations. They also provide a clear record that the change was thoughtfully assessed and validated, aligning with the overall goal of maintaining product quality and patient safety. So, in conclusion, implementing risk-based and statistical optimization of IPQC sampling really makes a difference. It helps us significantly reduce sample wastage, which not only cuts costs, but also minimizes unnecessary resource use. At the same time, it boosts manufacturing efficiency by making our processes more streamlined and focused. This approach also supports us in reducing overall production costs while ensuring we stay compliant with global GMP regulations, which is crucial for maintaining product quality and market access. Now, to achieve these benefits, there are some key success factors we need to focus on. First, robust process validation is essential. We need to thoroughly understand our processes to identify critical points. Second, data-driven sampling plans allow us to make smarter decisions based on real data rather than assumptions. Continuous process monitoring is also vital because it helps us catch issues early and maintain control over the process. Lastly, a strong quality management system underpins all of this, providing the structure and culture needed to sustain improvements. When we integrate these elements, we create a resilient, efficient, and compliant manufacturing environment that aligns perfectly with our overall quality and business objectives. For further support, please feel free to contact us. We're here to help you with any questions or additional information you might need. Remember, our goal is to ensure you feel confident and well-equipped moving forward. Thank you very much for your attention and participation today. We truly appreciate your time and engagement.